Welcome to a brighter future with the 10-Minute Solar Podcast. In just 10 minutes, we'll illuminate your world with solar insights. From cutting-edge technology to practical applications, we break down complex solar concepts into bite-sized brilliance. Shine bright with the 10-Minute Solar Podcast. Subscribe now on YouTube for your daily dose of solar wisdom. This is brought to you by SE Power Consulting.
Hey everybody, this is Emmett at NABCEP 2025 in Nevada, Reno, Nevada. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I started talking about the importance of skilled trades. Sometimes, you need a little backup. And this is where Russ comes in. Russ and I have been having this conversation about the importance of skilled trades in this country right now, whether it's solar, whether it's plumbing, whether it's electrical, whether it's millwright. This gentleman is a great example of moving through the ranks, coming through as an apprentice to being a master electrician in various states. And I don't mean that in states of being, I mean that in states of the United States. So it's very important that you can move through without going through so much debt, but have a contributing factor to the workforce. So tell me a little bit about how you got into the electrical field.
I'll be happy to. Emmett, being a typical young man in high school, enjoyed math, pretty good at science, was athletic, participated in sports. I did not want to go to college because I had spent summers working out on construction sites.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I loved working with my hands. I enjoyed being around men who knew a craft,
Right.
And they were willing to teach me. And guidance counselors, would listen to me say I'm going to be an electrician, and they would look at my PSAT scores or SAT scores and say, "Oh no, you want to be an electrical engineer."
Right.
And I would say, "No, I want to be a contractor." And they would say, "No, you want to be an architect.
Yeah.
You want to go to college. You want to go to Georgia Tech. You want to do this, that, and the other." They were back then. This is many, many years ago.
Oh yeah,
they were
back when we both had hair, right?
Yes, when we both had lots of. but this was obviously this was many, many years ago. But back then, they were pushing people away from the trades. Actually, they made it sound like it was a step down.
Yeah.
They were like, "Oh no, you don't want to go into the trades." But because I'd had that experience for a few years of working, summers and weekends and things like that in the trades, and I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved going home feeling like I accomplished something. At the end of the day, when I left the job site, I could see what I did. I loved that.
Yeah.
And I've never gotten over that sense of pride and accomplishment. And that so you get your hands dirty. You go home tired at the end of the day. You get your shower at the end of the day instead of the start of the day. I mean, all of that is just part of it, but I loved it and I still love it. And I think it's the biggest, I don't want to say farce, but it's had a very negative impact on young people in this country. They have gone into debt. We're talking, tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars in student loan debt for degrees, and they can't make what somebody turning out of a 4-year apprenticeship can make.
Yeah.
I mean, really, somebody with a 4-year apprenticeship can become a master electrician, a master plumber. They can start their own business, and the sky is the limit as far as income goes. On top of that, companies need them. If they don't want to start their own business, companies like mine need them. We need their licenses. We need their experience. We need their advice. We need their quality control expertise. There's so much out there, and I'm not poo-pooing college if somebody wants to go to college.
But let me segue. Because when you say electrician, most people think someone replacing a ceiling fan. They don't realize the broad scope that when you're an electrician, because there's low voltage, there's high voltage, there's linemen, there's a bunch of things that are available. There's specialties. Just like doctors, there are specialties in an electrician.
Right. Yeah, for example, the IBEW, International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, that is what I wanted to go into as an inside wireman or electrician.
Yeah.
One year they didn't have a class, an incoming class that year, so I worked as a lineman's helper.
Yeah.
I was the grunt on the ground, but they gave me some opportunity to climb poles and things like that. It was so fascinating. It was exhilarating. I loved it. But when the following year, when classes started, I'm sorry, I jumped into the apprenticeship program, and I got a great education. I had a full-time job. I had no student debt. I had benefits from day one. I mean, it was a win-win-win for me and my wife and twin daughters.
And you were able to buy a new Mustang with teachers.
Well, I'm from Savannah originally, so the first thing I bought was a boat.
So right.
But no, it was fantastic. As a matter of fact, I didn't do as well in school as I should have in high school. I didn't do as well as I knew that I could.
Yeah.
So I really applied myself in apprenticeship, and I ended up graduating as the valedictorian, or they refer to it as the outstanding apprentice.
Right.
The 4-year cumulative average. I was the highest for my class, and I was very proud of that, which led me, as the outstanding apprentice or valedictorian, any of the local contractors can pull you.
Oh.
That's one of the benefits.
Yeah.
You can jump the books.
Yeah.
In other words, so a company by the name of Rawlinson Electric, Jack Armstrong, Randy Wilson, requested the valedictorian or the outstanding apprentice of that year, and they pulled me, and I went to work immediately as a journeyman for them, and they started training me as an estimator. So I knew the field work, and then they started teaching me the business aspect of it.
Yeah.
So I was very fortunate. I consider myself blessed to get pulled into that side. I went from wearing literally from Friday to Monday. I went to work wearing boots, jeans, polo, baseball cap, wearing a tool pouch. Monday morning I showed up for work in a coat and a tie. I had to wear a sport coat and a tie, a dress shirt, dress pants, and it was amazing.
So I want to ask you about this, because you said that you had a wife and family, and you said you were going a trajectory, and you said, I need to start at the bottom and move my way back up through here. So you had been living life a little bit, mm-hmm. and it was still an opportunity for you.
Yes, and you and I talked about it.
Yeah.
This man's amazing. I've known him for years now.
Right.
When I grow up, I want to be just like him. Like I was telling you, I knew what I wanted to do. Of course, remember I told you they had some lapses in the apprenticeship programs, or not the lapses, but they had lapses in starting classes.
Right.
So, just I needed to provide for my wife and kids, and I was taking other jobs, in between the lineman helper and starting the apprenticeship program. I had an opportunity to go to work at a plant, and literally, I made twice as much on the hour as I made when I got into the apprenticeship program.
Right.
It was just a brief stint there. I mean, it helped out with, with money for the twins, and my wife, was a receptionist. I was hopefully apprentice electrician. But anyway, I got a job in a plant, and it was a tough decision to literally take my income and almost cut it in half. But had I stayed in that plant, I could have spent the rest of my career being an operator. But I wouldn't have had a trade.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have had a license. I wouldn't have had the ability to start my own business and chart my own trajectory.
You wouldn't have had the control.
I wouldn't have had control.
Because you could have got laid off. The plant could have closed.
The plant could close. And on top of that, the plant closes. Well, I know how to operate X machine.
Yeah.
If there's not an X machine over there at another plant, I'm SOL. So I was, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but I was smart enough to figure out that, you know, if I stayed there, I had all my eggs in that one basket, and I wanted more control. Besides, I still had that dream of becoming an electrician.
Yeah.
So I took that pay cut, got into the apprenticeship program, and I thank God every day for it. You know me.
Yeah.
You know that I've been extraordinarily blessed with my businesses. You know,
I want to close this out. So there's somebody who's 18 to 26 years old right now looking at this. What would you tell that 18 to 26-year-old?
I would say if you enjoy whatever you enjoy, there could be you know, communications. It could be you know, you're fascinated with electricity like I was. It could be you're fascinated by plumbing or you enjoy plumbing work. It could be carpentry. It could be any of the trades. If you're interested in that and you're in that age group, I talk to people even in their 30s
Yeah.
who still don't know what they want to do, don't know where they want to go. They just don't have a plan. They're lost. I tell them, please do yourself a favor. Go into the trades, apply yourself, maintain a good attitude, and within 4 years of earning a paycheck, having benefits, free education, you'll have a career.
Yeah.
That will last you for the rest of your life and will give you the opportunity, if you want, like me, I was able to start my own businesses.
Well, I think your message is so important, and it bolsters what I've been saying, but I needed to hear from somebody who was such a success.
Well, thank you.
And, you know, when we ran into each other the other day, I said, we're going to put this down and put the message out. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Good luck.
All right. This is Emmett with SC Power Consulting. You know where to find me. That's the website too, at NAPSAP 2025. Next year, it's in the Midwest. You'll see me there.